Max. Joe, with more than 25 years at New Balance, you have a wealth of knowledge about this incredibly dynamic industry. And last time I was in your office, I think we discussed this ever-changing consumer, but I don't think we knew what was ahead of us. Can you please kick us off by talking about how your customer has changed in the past year and what that's meant for how you service them?
Thought I left that in 2020, so here we go. Yeah.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, obviously a lot of change has taken place with the consumer, and it really starts with the retail disruption that's been going on in the U.S. for a number of years. The number of square footage in the U.S. from a brick and mortar standpoint per capita is still about 4x what it is, for example, in the U.K. So this retail disruption has been accelerated by the whole digital transformation, and consumer expectations were rising. And obviously, with what's happened in 2020, more than 11,000 stores were closed, and you had a tale of two cities. You had essential retailers and you had non-essential retailers. But I do think there's a lot of positives that have come from that. And one of them is every retailer has accelerated their own capabilities of selling directly to the consumer through their own e-commerce, and have also figured out ways to make sure that they can buy online, pick up in store, or also curbside pickup in all of that. So ultimately, in the end, it's trying to meet the consumer exactly where they want to be. And in 2020, that was clearly that they wanted to purchase online. For us, our sales in 2020, 50% of our volume went through digital commerce. And that's a combination of our own e-commerce sales, as well as pure play internet retailers, marketplaces, if you will, and our wholesale partners that sell directly online.
There's been some concerns with this growth in e-commerce around returns, and especially, anything that has fit. Can you talk about some of the learnings that you've had last year, and how will that change your approach to returns in the future?
Well, in our business, footwear and apparel, fit is so vital. And, it's really the holy grail, trying to find the right application for consumers to make sure they're buying the right purchase, so they don't have to buy two of one item. Maybe it's a small or a medium, and then return one. And, as a consumer, I did all my purchases, or most of them, online, and returning was a challenge in many instances. So, but what I'm and so we've had this as a project for a number of years, and have some things in there, but nothing that I would say is really where we want to be. But I'm really excited because I think through the past year, there's a number of entrepreneurs around the world that are developing new and exciting and ways that will enhance consumers' ability to fit themselves in their houses before they make that purchase. And I think that will help with the consumer experience.
No, absolutely. And one thing I want to make sure everyone knows is about your quick pivot in April to PPE. It was impressive to those of us on the analyst community, and then I think just to the entire, retail and fashion community. Can you talk about how you did it, what the implications were, and what you learned?
Yeah, so we're the only athletic footwear manufacturer that has U.S. footwear production. And, we talk about speed to market, or the ability to pivot, if you will. It is difficult when your supply base is overseas and with the lead times associated. And for us, only a small percentage of our overall volume comes from within the U.S. So I want to make sure I clarify that. But back in March, when all of our stores closed, all of our partner stores closed, and our offices and also our factories to protect our associates, about 3 weeks later, our factories opened back up and began to produce PPE for the medical community and the first responders that were so desperate for it. And that was the perfect example of us being able to demonstrate, the capabilities that we have domestically and what that can mean.
And as you think about kind of, local production and how you kind of fill a customer's orders just in time, and just making sure, especially with the exponential growth you had last year, how do you think about positioning inventory in different ways, and what does that mean for SKU rationalization or kind of SKU enhancement?
Yeah. So, in our business, there are just so many SKUs. If you think about, styles and colors, and then you have sizes, and we actually offer everything in widths on the footwear side of it. And then on the apparel side of it, it's always inherent with the number of SKUs, if you will. And then in April, I'll go back again to March and April, when all those stores closed, we were facing a tsunami of product that was on its way to the States with virtually no home, if you will. And it really was a great wake-up call, because we've been trying to trim back our styles for years, and we've been making progress, but it really allowed us to kind of focus. It really rallied everybody internally to make sure that our SKUs that we were offering were rationalized. Going forward, using predictive analytics and things like that, we believe that there are certainly ways that we can continue to make progress to make sure we have the right product, at the right time.
That's very helpful. And then you're in the middle of a series of new technology enhancements. How will those, kind of continue to evolve how the company operates?
It's a great question. A couple of years ago, coming into this role, it was the number one priority for us to really change the way we operate. And it was obviously our tech stack. It was about making sure that the tools we had in place was smoothing out that consumer journey. I mean, we are a wholesaler. That's traditionally who we've been. But as we've expanded internationally, we became a retailer. And then in the U.S., we still have factory outlets and partner stores. We have about 200 stores in the U.S., but around the globe, we have another 3,500 stores. So it really has focused and changed us to make sure the technologies that we're putting in place enable us to operate as a retailer and also support our wholesale partners. And with this shift to digital commerce, which we have been highlighting for the past couple of years, our technologies are designed to allow us to do exactly that.
How does the role of the store change in your mind with what we've all learned in the past year? And does that change the number of stores or the type of store? How does that change your store portfolio and just the role?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. That we are undergoing an evaluation right now of not just our current footprint, but what we think our future footprint needs to look like. And traditionally, you would value a store on its P&L, on its traffic, and how much it was selling through the register, if you will. Today, we think there's a different way to look at it, and that's really to try to smooth out that last mile. And so we are looking all around the globe at key locations where we think we can not only have a commercial viable store, but also the addition of servicing that community to make sure that we are, again, meeting the needs of the consumer, how they want to get the product as quickly as they want to get the product, and to also smooth out that return process along the way.
Yeah, if we think about the where I've spent a lot of my career in footwear, but this speed element to design, how is kind of 3D impacting that, and what other technologies are making a difference specifically around design and really kind of the digitization of the supply chain, and also kind of really shortening that supply chain?
It's so interesting in our business, particularly getting in front of retailers. There was an expression: no sample, no sale. And this year changed everything. And some of the technologies that we've been putting in place, one of is Modo, and be able to 3D render product. And, I just think of this past year where our marketing teams, our product design and development teams have been managing a creative process remotely. We've been operating virtual sales meetings, around the globe. And, today we're on allocation. So the idea that no product, no sample, we've completely debunked that myth, but it has been because of, one, the adaptability of our associates to be able, the ingenuity that I've seen this past year has just been incredible. And also the tools that we're able to present the product so retailers can see what they're buying. But think about it, again, half of our business is done through digital commerce. People are buying stuff online without a physical sample in front of them. So it's really another example of the way in which the world has really accelerated 3 or 4 or 5 years in just 1 year.
So based on that, how, you've had this $7 billion kind of sales number out there. How do you feel about kind of reaching that based on what you've seen?
Well, 2020 from a financial standpoint, the year was challenging. Our sales declined about 17% versus the previous year. But coming into 2021, we're a new company. To change the way we operate, we've introduced agile into the entire organization. We've developed these 90-day sprints, which has really allowed us to put together a number of building blocks that has accelerated our growth ambitions. And so again, we're coming into this year, our order book and demand is really strong, and we're bringing on additional capacity that will be here by mid-year, if you will. And we believe that 7 or 10 billion over the next few years, and we're working out what those dates are, but absolutely, we believe that we're on a growth trajectory that we have never seen before.
One of the things, if I think about New Balance, that always is the kind of umbrella or the foundation is the incredibly strong culture. How has that gotten, the organization through in the past year, and kind of how has the relationships between the employees changed? And then as you've added new employees, how have you onboarded people so that they understand what's critical to the organization?
Well, New Balance is a private organization. It's owned by the Davis family. And you know what? We've always had a strong culture. We have strong retention rates, and so that part of it is completely rock solid, if you will. And we measure twice and cut once when it comes to hiring. We want to make sure that people that we're bringing in not only have the capabilities, but also are the right fit. And so we're fortunate that we've been able to do that along the way, but it's really a critical element. But I think for the organization in general, the lessons that we have learned coming out of this year, one is how connected the world really is. The second piece of it is with all the mental health issues that are going on around the world, that we all need each other. So this importance of listening, communication, and empathy is just so very vital. And we talk about it with our global leadership team. We talk about it with our associates, because people want to be part of a community. We're all part of various communities, whether it's obviously our family and friends, and could be church or school, and work is one of them. And people want to feel like they're part of something, and that's something that we try to promote at New Balance.
That's great. I'm going to ask one last question, which we got in the chat, just around, kind of sustainability efforts and, this idea of, as you're thinking about, supply chain and also new investments, how do those also kind of play into the sustainability story long-term?
It's a great question. I think there are a lot of top-down initiatives that we have. We joined the RE100. We joined the UN Fashion Charter for renewable energy, as well as gas house reduction in emissions. But really, it's coming up from the ground. Our designers, our developers, that's why it's so encouraging. It's so exciting. This is not something that you're trying to force change within the organization. You have associates that are really passionate about it and are going to bring us along the way. And so, whether it's packaging or materials or just basically the reduction of samples and what that can save, there's so many different initiatives that I'm really encouraged and excited about what that can do for the environment.
Great. Joe, thank you so much. We really enjoyed your comments and your insights, and look forward to talking to you soon.